Almost 300 days, that is how long it had been since the Storm Prediction Center issued an enhanced risk on a Day 4 extended forecast. And they just broke that streak for this Friday, March 6th, and when forecasters use up that kind of rare designation this far in advance, the message underneath it is very clear. Something genuinely significant is being built out there right now. And significant means this wind gusts up to 80 miles per hour on Friday, alongside hail the size of tennis balls. And an EF2 or stronger tornado risk sitting inside the enhanced risk zone that stretches from Oklahoma City north through Kansas City and into northwestern Missouri, not EF0, not EF1, but EF2 plus as a conditional possibility. And if that were not enough, the forecast community is already watching a setup for next Tuesday, March 10th. That could affect nearly 100 million people, a 995 millibar low already showing up in the models with a low-level jet running 50 to 70 knots. And Tuesday already has a slight risk posted 7 full days out, which is the kind of early signal that almost never shows up that far in advance. Which piece of all of this hits your area? And when depends entirely on your zip code, so let's break it down day by day and city by city, starting right now with Thursday. Because Thursday is not a throwaway day before Friday. It is a serious, severe weather day in its own right for the Texas Panhandle and the Southern Plains. Thursday, March 5th has a slight risk of severe weather already posted from West Texas and the Texas Panhandle through western Oklahoma and into southwest and central Kansas, and the bullseye cities for Thursday afternoon and evening are Amarillo, Lubbock, Wichita Falls, Abilene, Oklahoma City, Lawton, Dodge City, and Hays, with the threat window opening in the late afternoon and running through sunset and into the early evening. Thursday's primary hazards are large hail, and large means golf ball to hen egg size, which is 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter, along with damaging wind gusts above 60 miles per hour and an isolated tornado threat that is conditional but real, particularly east of Amarillo and east of Lubbock, where the dry line sharpens and storms can go discrete surface-based right around sunset. The one thing that could dial Thursday back is a stubborn area of low cloud cover Thursday morning if that cloud cover hangs around too long. It keeps the atmosphere cooler and delays the destabilization that gives these storms their energy. But if the clouds break by early afternoon as expected, the window for explosive supercell development opens up fast, and it is going to stay open through the evening hours. Amarillo at 62 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Thursday, with severe thunderstorms likely in the late afternoon, protect your vehicles if you are in the Panhandle today, because 2-inch hail landing on an unprotected car is the kind of damage that insurance companies stay busy with for weeks. Lubbock at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit with the same supercell threat, and Wichita Falls and Abilene sitting right in the slight risk zone with hail and damaging wind as the lead concerns. Oklahoma City at 62 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit Thursday, with the first batch of widely scattered supercells moving through in the afternoon. Lawton in the same boat, and the area right along the dry line from Childress. Texas up through Elk City. Oklahoma is where the highest potential for rotating storms sits on Thursday. This is the clash zone, where dry air from the west meets the moisture from the Gulf, and the atmosphere does not handle that meeting quietly. Dodge City and Hays in southwest and central Kansas are right in the Thursday. Slight risk zone, marginal risk reaches all the way up into western and northwestern Iowa on Thursday, which is not something you see at the beginning of March very often. And the reason the marginal goes that far north is the same reason severe weather season is arriving early this year. The jet stream is running unusually active, and it is feeding storm systems, the ingredients they need across a much larger footprint than a typical early March setup. Drop your city in the comments right now if you are in the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, or southwest Kansas. Tell us what your sky looks like this afternoon. Are you watching cells develop to your west? Are you already getting gusty winds? Or is it still quiet? Where you are, we read these by region every single day, and if enough people check in from a specific corridor, that area gets its own dedicated segment in tomorrow's update. Dallas and Fort Worth at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit Thursday with a lower severe risk than Wednesday, but not off the hook if any of Thursday's storms from the west push far enough east. The DFW area could see some hail and gusty winds in the evening. Houston at 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit with warm and humid conditions and isolated storm chances. San Antonio at 78 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and the entire I-35 corridor is sitting in that rich Gulf moisture that makes every storm system this week more potent than it would be in a drier atmosphere. Kansas City at 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit Thursday with showers and possible thunderstorms, and a northern fringe of the severe risk St. Louis at 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit with storms possible throughout the day Springfield. Missouri, right on the severe edge. And both Kansas City and Springfield need to be paying attention to the Thursday overnight window, because after the surface-based storms fire at sunset, a cluster of storms is expected to consolidate in western Oklahoma and Kansas overnight, and that convection will be the wild card that either helps or hurts Friday's setup. Nashville at 68 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit with a chance of thunderstorms. Thursday, Memphis at 70 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and warm Louisville at 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit with showers and storms possible. And the Ohio Valley is going to have a rainy Thursday morning as showers and thunderstorms continue rolling through overnight. From Wednesday, it is going to be one of those umbrella at the bus stop mornings across Indianapolis, Columbus, and Cincinnati before things quiet down heading into the afternoon. Chicago at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit Thursday with cloudy skies and showers. Indianapolis at 48 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit with rain and possible thunderstorms. Columbus at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit with showers. Cincinnati at 48 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit. And here is what the Ohio Valley cities need to understand about Thursday. The flooding risk is accumulating quietly underneath all of this severe weather news. This is now 2 straight days of repeated rain over the same corridor. And the soil is getting to the point where the next heavy rain goes sideways into creeks before it can soak in. Detroit at 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit with rain possible. Cleveland at 40 to 48 degrees Fahrenheit with showers. Pittsburgh at 42 to 52 degrees Fahrenheit with rain. Buffalo at 35 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and the Northeast is seeing the tail end of the wintry mess from earlier this week finally winding down. With New York at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit with rain showers, and Boston at 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, running milder than the last couple of days with showers, but less of the icy mix that caused problems on Tuesday. Washington, D.C. at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit with rain. Philadelphia at 45 to 52 degrees Fahrenheit with showers and breezy conditions. Charlotte at 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, mild with a chance of showers. Atlanta at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit with mild conditions and isolated storm chances. And the Southeast is one of the quieter corners of the country on Thursday, which is genuinely good news for a region that is going to be watching the Friday setup very closely given how far south that enhanced risk footprint stretches. Out west, it is a completely different story. Los Angeles at 68 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit, and sunny San Diego at 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and pleasant Phoenix and Tucson at 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and dry Las Vegas at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and sunny Denver at 48 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit, and mostly sunny Seattle at 48 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit with rain. Portland at 50 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit with showers, and that big ridge sitting over the west coast is the engine pumping warm Gulf moisture northward into the central U.S., which is exactly what is fueling every storm system in this multi-day sequence. Now, Friday, March 6th. And to put Thursday's risk in perspective, Thursday is the wild card warm-up before the main event, and Friday is the main event. The enhanced risk is already on the board at level 3 out of 5. The 30% probability area is as high as SPC goes on extended range. And forecasters are saying out loud that when they see a 30% area this far out, the final risk level ends up higher than enhanced more often than not. The Friday enhanced risk zone sits from Oklahoma City north through Tulsa, Kansas City, and Jefferson City, Missouri. And if you are inside that orange area on the map, you need to understand that the SPC's new conditional intensity system has flagged this zone for 2-inch plus diameter hail, 74 to 75 mile per hour hurricane force wind gusts, and EF2 or stronger tornado potential. Those are 3 separate conditional threats at the highest intensity level, all sitting over the same real estate. The Friday setup starts with a dry line sharpening across West Texas and western Oklahoma. In the afternoon, supercells fire off that dry line, and anything that goes discrete in the warm sector has the ingredients to produce significant tornadoes, and then as those supercells eventually congeal into a squall line in the evening. The damaging wind threat goes widespread, and it does not end at sunset. This is a nocturnal threat that carries well into Friday night for Chicago, St. Louis, Jefferson City, Springfield, and Oklahoma City. The Friday wind numbers are worth saying clearly 80 miles per hour. That is not a gust in a tornado. That is a gust in a straight line wind event from a derecho type squall line. 80 miles per hour winds knock out power for hundreds of thousands of people at a time. Down large trees. Flip semi-trucks on exposed highways, and cause structural damage to buildings that are not tornado rated if you are in the enhanced risk zone Friday. This wind threat deserves as much attention as the tornado threat. Dallas and Fort Worth 3 days in a row, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is the day with the highest ceiling of the 3 enhanced risk, or higher is the floor for your area, not the ceiling. And the nocturnal squall line means the threat does not end when the evening news comes on. Make sure your county level alerts are turned on and turned up before you go to bed Thursday night, not after you wake up Friday morning. The Friday marginal risk extends all the way north to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and all the way south to just north of Austin. The slight risk covers Chicago back to Omaha and north of Dubuque all the way to La Crosse. And if you are in Chicago on Friday, the damaging wind threat from the evening squall line is real, and it is worth treating seriously, because the line that is going to produce significant tornadoes in Oklahoma at 3 in the afternoon is going to be producing widespread 60 to 80 miles per hour wind gusts in Illinois by 9 or 10 at night. Here is the community check-in for Thursday and Friday if you are in Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, the Texas Panhandle, or anywhere in the Friday enhanced risk zone. Drop your city in the comments and tell us, are you more concerned about Thursday's supercell hail setup or Friday's wind and tornado threat? And if you are in the Ohio Valley or the Midwest flooding corridor, tell us what your local creek and river levels look like today. We use those reports to shape tomorrow's coverage. Now, flooding is the thread running underneath all of this severe weather news, and it deserves its own spotlight. Today, the rainfall totals being modeled for the corridor from eastern Texas through Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri up into the Ohio Valley are staggering for a single week, 5 to 6 inches in the zone where Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri come together, and this is on top of what already fell Wednesday and is falling Thursday. Here is the math. The first 2 days of rain are already saturating the soil when Friday's storms arrive. The ground has almost no remaining capacity. Every inch of Friday's rain runs straight into creeks and streams, and when the Saturday and Sunday storms continue rolling through. Local rivers that were at normal levels Wednesday are going to be well above their banks by the weekend. This is how a week of severe weather becomes a flooding disaster story that outlasts the storm sirens. The flooding hotspot cities to watch most closely: Dallas, Shreveport, Little Rock, Fort Smith, Joplin, Springfield, Missouri, and the entire Arkansas Ozarks corridor, and then up through Bloomington, Indianapolis, Evansville, Louisville, and Cincinnati in the Ohio Valley. All of these cities need their flash flood alerts on separately from their severe thunderstorm alerts, because the flooding threat and the tornado threat are going to be overlapping in time on Friday evening. And here is the sharp cutoff that does not get mentioned enough. While western Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas and Missouri are getting hammered with 5 to 6 inches of rain this week. The Carolinas and Georgia are going to stay mostly dry. The rain footprint has a hard western to eastern boundary that leaves the southeast relatively high and dry, which means Atlanta, Charlotte, and Raleigh are watching this week from the sidelines while their neighbors to the northwest deal with the worst of it. Saturday and Sunday are the quieter days of the sequence after Friday's system sweeps through. Severe weather pulls back toward Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. There could still be isolated severe storms. Saturday afternoon with some hail and wind across that area, and Sunday looks to be the quietest day of the entire week, but do not mistake quiet for finished, because Monday's calm is setting up what comes on Tuesday. Tuesday, March 10th is the day the forecast community is watching most carefully beyond this week, and here is the setup. A 995 millibar low is already showing up in the models for Tuesday, with a low-level jet running 50 to 60 to 70 knots, pulling moisture out of the Gulf, and when you run 70-knot low-level wind speeds with a surface low, that's strong. The wind shear is at a level that historically produces organized severe weather across a very large area. The European model adds another layer to Tuesday. It is showing a secondary 991 millibar low for Tuesday evening, with big thunderstorm clusters developing right ahead of it, and the SPC already has a slight risk posted for Tuesday 7 days out. Covering Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and northeast Texas, that is all hazards on the table for Tuesday. And the forecasters are already saying this could affect nearly 100 million people when all the footprints are added up. The Tuesday setup has a specific structure worth understanding. There is what forecasters call a donut hole low, an upper-level feature that has been spinning out west. That gets picked up and ejected across the country by the larger trough moving in, and when that happens, it acts as a forcing mechanism that can rapidly intensify severe weather across the entire central U.S. in a matter of hours. This is the piece that makes Tuesday potentially a bigger day than even Friday for certain metrics. Here is where the models split on what comes after Tuesday. The European is showing cold air sweeping in behind Tuesday's storm and potentially bringing a significant Arctic blast toward the middle of March. Around the 15th through 17th, which could be the last real shot at winter for 2026, and if you love snow, that is the window to watch. The GFS is less aggressive on the cold side and keeps the warm air dominant longer. But even the GFS eventually shows a cold front by around the 18th or 19th. What both models agree on completely, the warmth heading into this weekend is locked in. And it is going to be dramatic temperatures running 10 to 25 degrees above average across the middle to eastern portion of the country through Saturday and Sunday. Nashville pushing into the mid-70s. Atlanta into the upper 70s, New York City into the upper 60s by early next week. This is a genuine torch pattern, and it is going to feel like May before March has a chance to catch its breath. But here is the wrinkle in the European model that people keep sleeping on. That torch pattern actually intensifies even further right out ahead of the incoming cold front. So the warmest days could arrive on the same day. The cold front is bearing down warmest just before it gets coldest, is exactly the kind of whiplash that catches people flat-footed. And if the European model is right about the mid-March Arctic blast, a lot of people are going to be caught off guard coming off a 70-degree Fahrenheit weekend. Miami at 78 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit and warm with isolated showers. Orlando at 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit and mostly sunny. Tampa at 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Jacksonville at 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit in Florida and the southeast are the calm corner of the country this week. Holding on to that ridge of high pressure that has kept them out of the severe weather corridor, Miami at 82 degrees Fahrenheit, while Kansas City is under a tornado threat on the same Friday afternoon, is the clearest illustration of how wide the contrast in this pattern really is. San Francisco at 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit with some clouds. Sacramento at 62 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit and mild San Jose at 62 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, mostly sunny. Los Angeles at 68 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit and dry, and the entire West Coast is in that classic late winter benign pattern that has nothing to do with the severe weather outbreak happening to the east. But the ridge that is keeping California sunny right now is the same atmospheric feature that is pumping Gulf moisture northward and feeding Thursday and Friday's storm systems. Oklahoma City and Tulsa. I want to address you both directly because you are sitting inside the Friday enhanced risk zone with the conditional EF2 tornado flag on top, and the cumulative fatigue of a 3-day severe weather sequence is a real danger. People go through Wednesday and Thursday and drop their guard right before Friday turns out to be the biggest day. Friday deserves fresh attention and a shelter plan that is ready before you go to bed Thursday night. Not one you are trying to remember when the sirens go off. And here is the national temperature contrast right now that puts all of this in one frame anchorage. Alaska at 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit with cold and snow. Minneapolis at 32 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit and cold, while San Antonio is at 78 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and Austin is pushing into the lower 80s on the same Thursday morning, and that temperature gap between the northern tier and the southern plains is the engine that is going to keep this storm train running through at least next Tuesday. If you are in Phoenix at 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit and dry, or in Miami at 82 degrees Fahrenheit and gorgeous, or in Los Angeles at 70 degrees Fahrenheit and perfectly pleasant Thursday, might feel like it has absolutely nothing to do with you. But someone you know in Amarillo or Kansas City or Cincinnati is watching this forecast very carefully right now, and sharing this video with them gives them 24 hours of advance notice. That could make a real difference in how prepared they are for what comes Friday evening. Before we wrap up, we especially want to hear from the areas that tend to get skipped in national coverage, the Texas Panhandle towns, rural western Oklahoma, southwest Kansas, the Missouri Ozarks, the small Arkansas communities in the dry line clash zone, and the Ohio Valley cities between the major metros. Drop your city in the comments right now and tell us what the ground looks like, creek levels, how wet things already are, whether you can see anvil-topped storms building to your west. The local intel helps us build a better picture of where tomorrow is most dangerous. Here is what is riding on tonight's model runs. The overnight data is going to tell us whether Thursday's storms stabilize enough overnight to give Friday a clean slate to work with, or whether the messy convection Thursday night chokes off Friday's afternoon tornado window. And that one question, clean atmosphere Friday afternoon or not, is the difference between an enhanced risk day that delivers and an enhanced risk day that underperforms. Tonight's runs are also going to sharpen the Tuesday, March 10th setup. Right now, the SPC slight risk 7 days out is a real signal, but the details on the 100 million person footprint are still loose, and if the European and GFS start converging on the same track for that 995 millibar low. Tomorrow's video is going to be a very different conversation about what next week looks like, and it could be a conversation about back-to-back major severe weather weeks with a brief torch pattern weekend sandwiched in between. The bottom line for Thursday and the days ahead, the storm train is still running, and it has not reached its biggest station yet. Thursday is the supercell warm-up in the Panhandle. Friday is the main event with the EF2 conditional flag and 80 miles per hour wind potential. The weekend gives a brief breather, and Tuesday could end up being the storm that affects more people than any single day. This week, don't be scared. Be squared away. Know your shelter plan before Thursday evening. Check your creek levels. Keep those alerts on, and we will see you tomorrow morning.